What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Week 14 edition of the Swolecast. I'm David Kitchen, a.k.a. Soccer Dave, joined by Davis Mattek, joined by Evan Silva, and a newbie, a rookie, Drew Dinkmeyer. Drew Dinkmeyer, how does it feel being the last daily fantasy expert to ever be on a show with Evan Silva?
I'm just blessed. I'm just #blessed today. The only thing that could be better is if Jeremy Hill was injured and Gio Bernard was healthy, and we could talk about Gio against the Cleveland Browns on the slate. That's my one regret. I'm glad that we booked this back in week 1, knowing that Tuttle would be out for a championship week. We already planned that. I looked at the schedule. I tried to find the best Gio Bernard week possible to get on here with Evan Silva. And unfortunately, the powers above intervened.
Yes, Tuttle is in New York, and he is competing for the DraftKings championship there this Sunday. So he said, does anybody want to fill in? And when Sammy couldn't do it, I was like, well, what are we going to do? Who's the only other person that will pick on Davis as much as I will? And Drew, your name.
I'm a great 7th choice.
Yeah. You're really, that's really the role you fill, and you fill it so admirably.
And you now have the best hair of the group.
Well, come on.
Davis.
Let Cole Beasley talk.
Davis, come on.
Come on,
bro. Come on, bro. You don't want to start this. All right,
eating bacon and sour cheese has been great for your look, fella.
I mean, check this out.
Are you fishing for compliments over there, buddy?
No, I'm commenting on Drew's hair. I wouldn't dare fish for compliments by commenting on someone else's hair.
Yeah. He talk about Christmas trees. Like that one you have in the background.
I was like, I'm like moving setups. And I'm like, well, that kind of looks depressing in the back. Up. I'll add a Christmas tree. Nailed it. All right. Speaking of, shout out to Comcast for wasting literally over 20 hours of my life the past 2 weeks. If this recording gets shut off, and I apologize for not being live. They're like, yeah, we might send someone out there, or we might not. Just trying to fix it. Like, they've been out here.
Your southern accent just sounds like your wife's voice.
My wife does not sound like this.
Your wife's accent is thick, fella.
It is not thick at all. See, this is like, you don't understand what a thick accent is. It is a country accent. And maybe she.
All right, let's talk some football.
Yeah,
right?
maybe she increased the accent around.
I promise, no one cares.
You're the one who brought it up. Let's talk about football. Davis, what do you think about the overarching theme for Week 14?
Hope that some wide receiver who's questionable ends up not playing, so we can play someone terrible for minimum salary so that we can play David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell on DraftKings. If that scenario does not happen, you're going to have to make your peace with a running back 2 who you really do not like at all. There are a couple guys, Jeremy Hill, Carlos Hyde, Matt Forte, Jay Ajayi, there's just a bunch of floatsome, just a bunch of pool filth RB2s you can play with DJ, but you really just want to play Bell and Le'Veon, or Bell and DJ rather.
I didn't hear you mention Jerick McKinnon.
Sparkstar, I don't know. Vikings, they're pretty bad.
They are pretty bad. Okay, Drew, what about you? You got the two big running backs. There is a wide receiver named Odell Beckham that I think is kind of in that must-play territory as well for me.
Whew, must play.
David does this.
Starting it hot. I'm on team jam Bell and Johnson in at all costs this week. So Beckham is one of those costs that I will not be able to afford in cash games. In tournaments, I do like the price discount you get on Beckham, and I do think the narrative around the Cowboys defense is a bit overblown.
They're still bad.
Well, the thing is, people say they play keep away, right? Well, the last 2 weeks, they've allowed 66 offensive plays and 72 offensive plays. The week before that, they were down to 51, then 65, then 40 against the Browns, and then 68. Like, when they're up against other decent teams. The thing that's been lost on people is as the season has worn on and as they've incorporated Des Bryant in the offense, they now are taking shots down the field. When you take shots down the field, that quickens drives. And as a result, they're not playing keep away at such a significant rate.
Well, Dak is too good. You can't leave that Ferrari sitting in the garage, Drew. You got to take it for a spin around the block.
So if that's the biggest concern around the Cowboys, and it's really not there anymore, and you figure that the Giants are probably going to play not from way out in front, most likely from behind or within one score, it's probably going to be a pass-heavy approach, and that sets up well for Beckham with Morris Claiborne still hurt. So I think he's very well priced, and he's very appealing. But for me, the floors on Lev and DJ are just so substantial that I want to do everything I can to get them into my cash game lineups.
Silva,
second straight week, Le'Veon, David Johnson. I mean, the David Johnson is in an incredible spot. Looks like the Dolphins are going to be without two of their starting linebackers, including Kiko Alonso, their middle linebacker, who's had like a bounce back season. They're bad against the run. We've seen in back-to-back games, the opposing running backs have had a lot of success in the passing game against them. So it's an incredible spot, I think, for David Johnson this week.
It's also a spot where there's supposed to be wind down here in South Florida this weekend, and Bruce Arians, I mean, you got to think the guy's sharp enough to realize.
No.
You got to think with their playoff lives on the line every week. They've done the thing where just give it to DJ as much as possible. That's the thing that Pittsburgh and Arizona have been doing, which I think people are losing sight of why it's happening, which is because these teams can't afford to lose anymore. And so they recognize. I think that game against San Francisco, they were toying around with trying to get the passing game going. And they just realized we can't do that anymore. If we're going to make the playoffs, we have to get the ball in the hands of the best players over and over again. And in windier conditions, on a passing offense that's built on taking shots down the field, I would think this is an even more significant opportunity to use David Johnson in the short passing game this week.
And their passing game is not – yeah, I mean, it's become a between-the-numbers – I mean, we've seen Jermaine Gresham – has become a factor in their passing game. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've changed. Like they're still throwing the ball a lot, and they're running a lot of plays, obviously, but they're throwing the ball between the numbers to David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald and Jermaine Gresham.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's definitely going to be – there's definitely some value out there. It's just a matter of, like, can that value hit to justify what you're spending on David Johnson? Hopefully, like you said, Drew, I believe, like you do, like they have to win. Like one more loss and they're out of it. I mean, the issue is if they start getting blown out, do they just pull David Johnson? That would be bad. I'm not forecasting that at all. That would be bad.
It's hard to see scenarios. I mean, Arizona's defense is still good enough, but it's hard to see scenarios where they're playing so far from behind. But, I mean, Carson Palmer can make anything happen. So
the weather, people are talking about, like, snow and this sort of stuff. Is anybody fazed about this before we pull up the DraftKings lineup and do one?
The only win situation that I'm seeing so far is the Miami situation. I know some people are concerned about, like, light snow in Cleveland, in the Cleveland-Cincinnati game and in the Green Bay-Seattle game. It's supposed to be light, so I'm hoping it's not a big deal. I didn't think it was a big deal for San Fran Chicago last week, and it ended up being a big deal. So I'm hopeful that it's not, because I do like some of the passing options, especially in the Green Bay Seattle game.
All right, let's pull up DraftKings. Let's start with the lineup before we get into the quarterbacks. Silva, I'll go ahead and let you pick the quarterback for this week if you want it, or we can give the baton to Drew since he's a Swolecast virgin.
Yeah, I'm going to take T.Y. Hilton. I think of this T.Y. Hilton eruption spot. I don't know. Do you guys think he's going to be high owned this week?
No, but he's like the first wide receiver on my list for tournaments.
All right, so I'll leave quarterback to Drew, and I'm going to go T.Y. Hilton against the probably Jonathan Joseph-less Texans.
Yeah, I've been struggling with the Colts passing game because they're not projecting well in our model, but I think part of that is the fact that I'm not accounting for the injuries that the Texans defense is going to have. So there are guys I'm coming around to a little bit more on the week. Quarterback in a GPP, my favorite quarterback is Kaepernick this week in GPPs.
It's hot.
Yes.
Like that Jets defense looked like they quit. There's a lot of veterans on that defense. There's nothing to play for them. Short week, cross-country travel. Kaepernick last week said he had problems gripping the ball, and that was part of the reason that they weren't throwing the ball really at all. People are going to be off him because he got benched, and that's terrifying. You don't want to have your quarterback benched mid-game. But, I mean, you take a guy who's willing to run a lot against a defense that's not super interested in chasing a guy that's willing to run a lot. I am very, very interested in Kaepernick, and I'm trying to get the testicular fortitude to consider him in cash. I'm not there yet.
Do it.
But
What can go wrong?
Let's all do it. Let's all do it, and if we're wrong, we just move on to the next week.
I think he's a great play this week, and I will have.
I might play him in cash.
Drew, you know that RG3 is the minimum salary on DraftKings.
Get out of here! Get out of here! Just leave. Get out of here.
He's less than Tony Romo.
Just saying. Just saying. All right, so we got Cap, we got Hilton. Go ahead, Davis.
DJ.
That's my DJ. All right. I'm going to go. Well, let's just see if we can do it. Let's just go Lev Bell. Let's see if we can do it.
I don't think we can.
I don't think we can.
Why?
I mean, we're at 35-80 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
All right, forget it. All right, forget Lev Bell. We'll go Jerick McKinnon. He's 3,600. They have been using him in the Wildcat there. Like you saw last time they played, he was actually catching passes. I don't know. Maybe they just give him the reins for the 1.8 yards per carry there in Minnesota. Go ahead, Evan.
All right, I'm gonna go with Taylor Gabriel. Do you guys think he's gonna be the chalk this week?
Yeah,
that is what we would call bad.
Probably is. But is he Harry Douglas? You know, is he a must play? Is he
This is the week. This is week 14. This is where I benefited from having a banged up Roddy White and an absent Julio Jones.
Drew gonna come in and pound his chest about winning the $1 million.
Harry Douglas
there on the show.
Harry Douglas carried me to $1 million victory, and so
no. How dare you say that? Marcus Wilson carried you to $1 million.
Let's be very honest. Des Bryant carried me to $1 million victory with a bunch of Sunday night touchdowns, but everybody played a big part. And Harry Douglas did his part with his no touchdown scoring, like 10 for 140 or whatever he had. Taylor Gabriel, that's the question I have for you guys. Do you think the offense becomes condensed enough that we can feel pretty confident in 10 targets for Taylor Gabriel? No? What if Julio's out?
If Julio is out, then yes. If Julio is not out, then
I don't know, man.
I'd rather go Robbie Anderson at $3K than Taylor Gabriel at 4,300.
There's a strong chance Taylor Gabriel could be bad chalk, I think. Even if Julio is out. Because Atlanta, they haven't done this all year where they've honed in on anyone, even Julio. Like, Drew, you were tweeting the other day about how Julio has like a 10% market share of their team targets and is fifth on the team in red zone targets. They're not gonna force feed anyone.
Would you rather have go ahead, Davis. Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying that Matt Ryan's most efficient season to date has been with this new offensive coordinator where they stopped doing that. That had been his problem in the past, is they've ran this really narrow offense in Atlanta where they just force-fed like three guys and they sucked every year.
All right. So all right, that's fine. We can pivot off of Gabriel and do another leverage play, Tevin Coleman.
I dig that a lot.
Yeah.
I dig that a lot.
4K.
Yeah, he's real cheap.
There's a lot of upside there if they decide to use him as a receiver, which we've seen them do in unusual matchup situations before, like that matchup against Denver where you don't want to attack the outside. They just basically lined him up in the slot a lot. And I could see that being the case with the limitations that they have at the wide receiver position. Because if you look at kind of who they have to fill the roles, like Aldrick Robinson is sort of a one-trick pony. in terms of his route running and his role in the offense. He's a guy that could potentially pick up some snaps there. Justin Hardy has, had a few targets the last few weeks, but has been historically inefficient in his.
Did you have to mention Justin Hardy as a part of your deal with Adam Hummel?
With Adam Hummel, yeah. Anytime an ECU guy catches a touchdown, like Dwayne Harris caught a random touchdown the other week, and I was like, "Oh, random Giants touchdown" in our Slack chat, and Hummel's like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare!" That's Dwayne Harris, pride of ECU. But I could see outs to Tevin Coleman playing a much, much bigger role in the passing game this week, which is really interesting. And if they feel like they're going to try to, if they get ahead and they're going to try to salt it away with the running game, you can only give Devonta so many touches. So that there's going to be some level of a split there. So I think Coleman at 4K is really, really interesting in GPPs this week.
All right. Drew, you're up.
Do you guys want a tight end or a wide receiver?
I mean, there's only one tight end play.
There's a few tight end plays, but
LDG, Ladarius the God.
That's not where we're going. Okay, I'm taking a tight end then.
Okay.
we're going with the Brait White Hope, Cameron Brait.
Make the tight end Brait again is what
we all have sex with our underwear on this show apparently.
Whoa,
Cameron Brait's good.
Oh, Brait is great, and he's just the
not going to be
ultimate shock.
Ladarius. I'll tell you. I think Ladarius will be higher owned than Brait.
Ladarius is cheaper than.
Yeah, exactly. And every dollar counts this week.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I think people are going to get turned off by that Brait price tag because he's 4,100. Ladarius is 38. I think 39, and
39.
Right above him is Delaney Walker at 4,400. So I think Brait's going to get lost in the shuffle in ownership on DK. On FanDuel, I do think
such a good play though.
I owned.
All right, I'm going Odell. He's only 8K.
That's viable.
And you look at what he did. You look at what this Giants offense did to start the second half last week. They had like 2 or 3 passes straight to Odell. You look at how they ended the game. There's just dump offs to Odell. I think they're going to force feed him the ball this week as a part of this offensive plan against the Cowboys, who we just talked about. I think they're a little bit overrated as far as their defense and their secondary goes. So Odell Beckham at 8K on DraftKings to me is a discount.
Yeah. Well, we're now in the worst possible range. All these wide receivers suck. They suck so
Robbie
bad.
Anderson. Let's do it, man.
I mean, Robbie Anderson is probably a better play than Marquise Lee, who's going to be bad chalk.
Anderson had over 245 target yards last week. Over 10 targets. They just kept on going deep to him. He's his boy. We saw him in the preseason. Let's do it. What do you have to be afraid of?
Robbie Anderson, Vikings D.
Yeah. Get the Bortles service. I think the Vikings D has the biggest upside of any team for GPP defenses for sure. Because they score touchdowns that's all they do.
And we paired him with
Bortles has more career pick sixes than wins.
I heard that stat and it blew my mind. Totally, that's incredible. As a fan of the Bears, who's seen a lot of bad quarterback play throughout my lifetime, that impresses me even.
If you wanted to go a little bit more GPP-ish, you could upgrade Jerick McKinnon to Michael Floyd or Isaiah Crowell.
Or play a cheaper defense and play Rob Kelly over Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, Rob Kelly is also in a very good spot at 4,200.
What do you guys think about the 49ers defense this week?
I kind of vibe with it.
Ooh.
I do.
Real cheap.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So the cheap defense that we've been sort of interested in is for tournaments is the Bucks.
Yeah, they're 2,400.
2,400 at home. They've been playing really well of late. It looks like Armstead's going to miss. Evan, is that the case again for the Saints, the tackle?
Yeah, I think so.
So Drew Brees has struggled in the games that he hasn't played well. Michael Thomas is banged up. Mark Ingram's banged up. I think they're interesting from a GPP perspective. I don't think anybody's going to want to own them because nobody ever wants to take a defense against the Saints.
Yeah. No one's going to own the Cleveland Browns at 2,200 against Cincy, so no one's going to own. All right, so let's move on to quarterback. And we've already got the cap hot take. Let's talk about the chalky options. For me, it's Andrew Luck.
Stealing that take from me, David.
Am I?
I mean, he's my guy this week, I think.
Okay.
Him or Cap for me.
The audacity you have to claim that anyone would steal Andrew Luck from you is
Hey,
just
I've long been
unbelievable.
Andy Luck, elite fantasy quarterback. You can't win with him in the NFL, though.
All right.
Unbelievable.
All right. So, Davis, you're on the Andrew Luck train. Drew?
We're really high on Russell Wilson again.
Yeah,
This came back to bite me last week. I needed 2 Graham touchdowns to win the Sunday Million last week.
Here we go.
And Russ and Graham only connected on one, had like 4 or 5 end zone targets. But if you look at last week's game, I think you see all the recipe in place for Russell Wilson to have a big finish this season. Tyler Lockett looks fully healthy again. They now have the ability to spread it out a little bit more offensively. And then the offensive line got healthy last week as well. The Packers are a little bit of a funnel defense. It'll be interesting to see if they play that way with all the linebacker injuries they have this week. But they tend to be better against the run and weaker against the pass. And especially in the slot, I saw TJ Hernandez tweeting out that they had allowed the most yards per target or yards per snap to the slot position over the last 6 weeks, which is where Doug Baldwin lines up. So I like Russell Wilson. I want to make sure on weather, but he and Jameis were the guys for me ahead of Luck in our initial run of projections.
Yeah.
Jameis is the chalk.
You think?
Yeah. I think people just bash in guys against the Saints.
Evan, what about you?
Yeah, I like Russ and Kaepernick too. Dink already stole that. Luck, Kirk Cousins, I think stands out on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Severely underpriced. The Eagles' defense is trash. They're not rushing the passer. They never had good cover guys. So when you combine those two, I mean, they've given up 26 or more points in 5 of their last 6 games. And I think that Ben in tournaments is pretty interesting. People know about the road splits by now, and people make decisions based on that. And, I mean, this offense, adding a new dimension, I think, is going to be really difficult to defend going forward.
All right. We've got a couple of men's out quarterbacks or close to it. Of those quarterbacks, RG3. Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. Against the old, decrepit Bengals defense. Let's do it. He's going to air it out. He's going to run and not get hurt until the 4th quarter. He's got Coco. We're talking like preseason connections to Coco and Pryor. Over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just like my Matt Barkley call a couple weeks ago. Let's do it. I'm not there to say RG3 in cash. Unless he does well, then you can I said RG3 in cash.
He's the rare quarterback where you can use the quarterback and the defense against him.
Yeah.
So that makes him the ultimate contrarian play.
I love it, though, how you guys are, like, shaking your head at RG3. But, Colin Kaepernick, the epitome of safe cash game quarterback.
I mean, Colin Kaepernick, like, has so much upside, though, because he runs. Like, I don't even think Bob is going to run that much.
Since when? When does he not run?
Because he just gets destroyed every game. He just gets
runs for his life.
Dick. He gets punched in the dick every game.
He runs for his life, and that's when he's going to find Terrell. I mean, Terrell Pryor has gotten – he is a good wide receiver. He's got Corey Coleman healthy. He's got Barnage. He's got his running backs. Like I think that I think the Browns are going to win this game. And, of course, with 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, why wouldn't they? All right, let's move on.
Can I have one quarterback hot take?
Yeah, I mean, you are in Tuttle's seat, so you have to have at least one bad take.
This is the Tuttle's terrible play of the week.
Okay.
This is it.
In one, keep in mind, this is in one lineup out of 5,000.
For all of you. For me, it's probably going to be a lot more because that's how Tuttle rolls.
Don't go Brock Osweiler.
Trevor Siemian. Siemian, 5,100 on DraftKings. The last 4 games he had played averaged 37.5 pass attempts per game. Tennessee's secondary is a total mess. Denver's had trouble running the ball. They're talking about mixing in Justin Forsett. That's not going to help things. 5,100 Demaryius Thomas and Manny Sanders are pretty cheap. This is a very stackable situation in tournaments.
Yeah.
And
Last seven quarterbacks to go up against the Titans have finished top 12 on the week. Manny Sanders looks severely underpriced considering his usage.
He's 5,900. I think
that was my wide receiver or tight end pick. It was either Manny Sanders or Cameron Brate for that line.
On FanDuel, he is an absolute steal at 5,900. But good call, Drew. The road dog.
Yep. That's my terrible take.
At Tennessee coming off a bye. Parrish Cox not starting. Do we even know who? They wouldn't name a starter last time I had heard.
You know what? Jarrell Casey didn't practice all week too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's a difference maker for the Titans defense.
Yep.
Part of that.
I hope Tuttle is listening to this on replay, and I hope I filled his shoes adequately.
Yes. You have done a good job. That 180-yard passing performance is going to do wonders for your brand. All right, let's move on to running back. We've talked about DJ and Lev Bell. If for some reason you can only play one of them, who is it?
DJ.
Okay. The secondary running backs, again, we've talked like that mid range is just really gross.
I hate everyone.
Yeah.
The only guy I like played last night. So that's why I'm on. No, I like Latavius. That's why I'm on Jam, Lev, and DJ because I've got no one else that I really like.
You know what Leone told me? We did a show on Wednesday, and he's like, I'm probably going to play Jeremy Hill.
Yeah.
Hill's just expensive.
Our projections like Jeremy Hill, even amidst him being expensive. I can't do it in cash. I will have some ownership in tournaments for sure because I definitely see.
Yeah, he's a running back against the Browns.
He's not only expensive, it seems like he gets nicked up every game.
Yep. And I don't like our projections like him quite a bit, but for me, like Devonta Freeman is right there at 300 more, and you can figure that there's going to be an increased workload to the running backs just in general for Atlanta with Julio banged up, with Mohamed Sanu out. So like Freeman is kind of the one guy that I'm starting to come around on a little bit more, but there's just not a lot at running back that I'm excited about this week.
All right, if it does snow a little bit in Green Bay, you also have to consider Thomas Rawls. For me, I like him over Jeremy Hill at a little bit cheaper than Jay Hill on FanDuel. It's just a matter of like how much he's going to play, like how much he's going to be featured and how healthy he is. Evan, do we know the health of Thomas Rawls? Is he good to go?
Yeah, he should be fine. Yeah.
Is he quote unquote ready to roll? Like Sammy Watkins?
Should be ready to roll. I like DeMarco Murray against Denver.
Ooh.
I think that
he's a great for tournaments.
He's underpriced on FanDuel.
And coming off a bye, too.
Coming off a bye to heal that toe. The Broncos are going to be without Brandon Marshall, stud inside linebacker. Todd Gurley, he's not someone that I don't think I've played him at all since week 1 against San Francisco, where he, of course, bombed. But looks like Benny Cunningham is listed as doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
So that could translate to some more passing game work for Todd Gurley. And really like it when running backs are involved in the passing game against those Falcons linebackers. And the Falcons are weakened right now. Are they going to be able to go to LA and score a lot of points? The Rams have only played 4 home games this year because they lost one to London. And in 3 of those games, they limited their opponent to 14 points or fewer. So we could see some good game script there for Todd Gurley. I think if you think that the Jets have laid down, which they certainly looked like they did on Monday night, I think Carlos Hyde is a little bit interesting. He's really cheap on DK, 4,900.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Rawls, you mentioned. Then Lamar Miller looks like he's underpriced on. He's been real frustrating, but it looks like he's kind of underpriced on DK. I thought at 5,100.
What about Isaiah Crowell? I mean, he caught 6 passes last week. The week before
not catching 6 passes with RG3. RG3 is not throwing to running backs.
Yeah, he's not going to dump it down.
You can't have RG3 thrown to running backs and scrambling all the time. Like those two things.
In David's world,
in my mind, he's doing everything. All right, you don't think? Okay.
No, Rob Kelly is the cheap guy. They should probably beat this not great Eagles team. There's the coach speak going in his head. I think it was Reeves or Scott Barrett, one of the two, tweeted out that the Eagles the Redskins had been trailing for all but like 2 of their offensive drives the last 2 games, and the Eagles should probably be a remedy for that. So I think he could get in a good game script. I think he can grind out. He's like the Jeremy Hill play from last week.
Also, we need to mention Mark Ingram did return to practice this week, so it looks like he is going to play.
Can I drop him in my seasonal leagues, you think?
For Tim Hightower, yes, you can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
2 other notes on Rob Kelly. One, I think Trent Williams is supposed to be back, right?
Yep.
Which is a big upgrade to the running game. And then the other thing is just having Jordan Reed available, which he said he's going to play. We'll see. But just having him available allows them to play more 2 tight end sets, which just in general is a better running situation for Rob Kelly. Last week without Jordan Reed, it's harder for them to play 2 tight end sets. They're going to want to force more of their receivers onto the field to get more options for Kirk Cousins. So I think there's a lot of things lining up there for Kelly that are pretty interesting this week.
When the Redskins played the Eagles earlier this year, the Redskins ran for 230 yards.
Yeah.
That's a lot of yards.
Wasn't there some coach speak also? They came out this week about wanting to get Kelly the ball more.
Yeah. Davis mentioned that.
I did.
I try to tune him out too.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't blame you guys.
I'm just like looking at videos of RG3 right now. Also,
his college highlights are great.
Davis, your quarterback picks the past few weeks have been just fire, by the way.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No, Davis.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my Matt Barkley against the Titans a couple weeks ago. All right. Speaking of RG3, I just want to mention this really quick because Chris Bell sent me a message at Chris Bell 323, and he said, "Why is no one mentioning the narrative of Art Browse being brought in as an offensive consultant with the Browns? He has to be there
to Corey Coleman.
Yes." He has to be there to design things for RG3 and possibly Coleman. So shout out to Chris Bell for sending me that message to fuel the fire. Yeah, he didn't send me a marriage. All right, so let's move on to wide receiver, and let's talk about those top options.
Someone whisper me a cheap wide receiver, please.
Ted Ginn?
No, I think the Panthers have capital Q quit. I think they got just smashed last week. That's it. Season over. I think that San Diego is in a really good spot. Like, I really like Tyrell. We kind of skipped over Melvin Gordon. I really like him for tournaments. I think he'll be really low owned for a guy who can score 3 touchdowns, basically. Yeah, that's kind of my hot take this week is that Carolina has quit.
I think that Cameron Meredith has a chance this week. Every week it's been a different guy with Matt Barkley. Consistently, though, Cameron Meredith has played the most snaps out of all those receivers. And Cameron Meredith has been playing a lot in the slot recently where the Lions just lost Quandre Diggs, their slot cornerback. So, maybe something that the Bears might try to attack when they do throw the ball this week, assuming that, in that game last week between the Bears and the 49ers, there were 33 pass attempts and 74 rush attempts.
Modern football out the window. It was bad.
You get Bryce Petty involved. Or you get Matt Barkley involved. My bad.
Yeah, it was bad. So Marquise got in limited practices on Thursday and Friday. I would feel more comfortable with either Meredith or Bellamy if Marquise was ruled out.
Agreed.
Meredith is the safer option of the two if Marquise is in because, as Evan said, he's been the one guy that's been the constant playing a lot of snaps. But I think Bellamy is sort of interesting too. He's not super talented, but Barkley and him seem to have connections. He dropped like a 30, 40-yarder last week again. But still ended up with, I think, like 60, 70 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's just 3,500 on DraftKings. The conversations for the cheap, like punt wide receivers, for me, are almost exclusively on DraftKings because pricing is so soft on FanDuel with like Manny Sanders and Jordan Matthews and Taylor Gabriel, Golden Tate. Like all those guys are so cheap that I don't think you need to mess around in these types of names on FanDuel.
All right. As far as those cheap wide receivers, you do have Robbie Anderson, who is just targeted a lot. He's $3K on DraftKings.
He's targeted a lot, but I have a hard time putting stock in the targets given the game situation. last week. So I don't know. I mean, there's obviously the narrative around backup quarterbacks with, backup wide receivers and different things like that. And Anderson is a young player that they should be trying to get more snaps down the stretch.
I mean, Anunwa only had 2 targets, and he was open a few different times. Like, it seems like they were just looking – he was just looking at Marshall and Anderson.
Bryce Petty started a game earlier this year. Guess who led the Jets in receiving that week?
Who?
Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson to God. He's a play on DraftKings. Robbie Anderson probably better than Dorial Green Beckham, who
Dorial Green Beckham. I was all over the Dorial Green Beckham train last week.
He bad.
He got screwed by getting hurt. Wentz led him right into cracked ribs, and then they had 3 garbage time possessions where Paul Turner was racking up catches left and right, and those were the possessions I paid my $3K for. I was all in on the $3K for down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in soft coverage, Dorial Green Beckham getting catches. And I didn't get it. And I had Marquise Wilson. It was a very frustrating week from an injury perspective for me.
Coco, I'm in love with the Coco. I just have to mention he's 4,400 on DK. Also,
no, that's a Davis Mattek play. I don't think you can't do that.
Wait, no. We've talked about this. Coco was mine before he was you. Yes. No, I'm in love with the Coco is a David Kitchen original. Yes, it is. Go and check the tape. People know.
You're embarrassing yourself.
You're embarrassing yourself. Look at the mirror. Look at the mirror, and you can embarrass yourself all day long, Davis.
If you want a cheap floor, Pierre Garçon has 4 catches.
Garçon is
pretty much every game this season. He has only scored twice, but he has 17% of the red zone targets. So he's being targeted in the red zone. He's just not converting touchdowns. And he's got a really high catch rate as well this season, almost 70% of targets. So he doesn't need a ton of targets to deliver a floor of 10 DraftKings points, which if you're in this range is what you might be looking for. So I think he's in play. I liked him more with the idea that Jordan Reed might be out, but I don't think it's a huge impact one way or the other in terms of target share for Garçon.
All right, let's look at one game that I have a few questions about. Evan, I'll ask you. It's Arizona at Miami for wide receivers. On the Arizona front, you've got Fitz, who, he is what he is. But you also have Michael Floyd, who it seems like is, I think, a good GPP play. And on the other side, you got Jarvis Landry, who only had 80-something yards receiving last week, but I think it was on 14 catches. Maybe 11. It's 11 catch on
11 for 87.
Yeah.
So just an insane number of targets, which game script probably had something to do with that, but it could again. So, Evan, what's your take on this game, the wide receivers in it?
And, I understand Michael Floyd. The opportunity is going to be there. He's back to being a full-time player there again. It's just they're not hitting passes outside the numbers and down the field. But he does make sense because he has that big playability and he's got opportunity and he's cheap and he's probably going to be real low owned. So he makes sense, I think, as a tournament play. Jarvis Landry, the slot defender that the Cardinals have been using in place of Matthew is Tyvon Branch, who came back last week. I didn't know if he was going to jump back in there and be full-time. I liked Crowder a lot last week and kind of got lucky that he scored a touchdown. But, that was, Jamison Crowder didn't tear it up like I thought he had a chance to. And I think a lot of that had to do with Tyvon Branch, who's been a stud. I don't really like the Dolphins passing game at all here. And we're going to see Patrick Peterson on Devontae Parker. And there's a chance that Patrick Peterson could move inside at times too. I don't know. I don't love it, man. I don't know. Does Jarvis Landry offer enough upside? He's got to score a touchdown because he's not going to have a 100-yard game.
Seems like that touchdown equity has disappeared with the arrival of Devontae Parker. All right.
Stills actually might be a little bit interesting. He should get a lot of routes against Marcus Cooper, who's been awful. Pierre Garçon was beating him up last week.
We should have done in honor of Tuttle, we should have done a Tuttle's Terrible Take DraftKings lineup and put in Gurley and Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is $5,000 on DraftKings because of their social experiment team, where they just said, I wonder how low we have to.
I said earlier on the show this week that if he was 4,200, if he was the same as Garçon, I would play him.
You've got
I don't even think I'd play him at 4,200.
We should do one where the lineup would consist of DeAndre Hopkins, Gurley, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah, you're week one, look into the future, like what the heck is happening in the NFL.
Exactly.
I have none of any of those guys in seasonal. I just want it to be known that I'm seasonal sharp.
Davis, I will quickly pull up the auction league.
No, please don't. My whole team, I didn't win a game. They all got hurt and sucked.
The best take you've had in your entire fantasy football career, though, this year was saying David Johnson is the number one overall.
Yeah.
That is the best take.
I agree. And you haven't even played off of it, really.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
My people know, like, when DJ goes nuts, like, people just tweet at me. Like, it's like two things happen. DJ going nuts and Janice getting
on the field.
On the field, people tweet at me.
Or Janice dropping the ball, people tweeting.
I just didn't respond to those when he dropped that. Like, I had like 40 tweets and I just...
Drop that or drop those?
Don't.
Okay, because those would be plural. That would just mean it was singular. We know that's not right. All right, let's create a FanDuel lineup. And Evan, you get to go first with quarterback.
Okay. Oh, man.
I love it when we stump Evan.
I like Kaepernick a lot.
No. Let's not do that.
All in.
No, I know we like Cap, but let's go a different route. If I need to call on Davis to pick a quarterback, I will, but I really would like to avoid this.
I mean, I got one.
All right, Davis, who is it?
The ultimate chalkbuster. Drew Brees will be unowned. People hate this dude.
Okay.
People hate this dude.
No, I like it because he's on the road. Also, I feel like this would be a Tuttle take also. Because Tuttle loves Drew Brees, even when he's not in the best spot.
Brees, Michael Thomas, if you add their ownership percentages together, will be under 10%.
Yeah.
Hopefully Michael Thomas plays.
We're taking hurt guys now.
Yeah, we are. That's what we do.
Whew.
Yeah, I think you would go Cooks, but yeah. All right, we don't have to go Brees. We can just go
Kaepernick.
Or RG3. I mean, we could really get sexy with it if we wanted.
Oh, let's just go. Let's make a luck team. All
right, let's do it. Yeah, I'm on board with that. And you already said that you liked. I actually kind of like Moncrief also on FanDuel more. I like T.Y. Hilton on DraftKings, but the price discount, I like Moncrief. All right.
Matchups are so good for T.Y. this week, man.
Yeah.
So you skipped over me. I'm going to go with Deshaun.
It wouldn't be a Swolecast without you recommending Deshaun Jackson. All right, Drew.
Well, I'll go with the free square with David Johnson.
I mean, we don't have to pick David
No.
Johnson.
I think he belongs in pretty much every line.
Every team. Yeah.
110%. You make 100 lineups, then you add 10 more.
That's
110 lineups. That's 110%.
110%. All right. I'll go with Manny Sanders. I mean, they're basically giving him away at 5,900 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
All right. I got a terrible take.
Go for it.
Dwayne Allen is $100 above the minimum on DraftKings, $300 above the minimum on FanDuel. Obviously had the big game last week. I don't know if it's points chasey or not, but I expected him to have a really good season anyway. Like I just expected Allen to be good this year, and the Doyle rules thing kind of paused that. But I also think he can catch a touchdown again for cheap.
Okay. Drew?
Zeke.
Ooh. Someone we didn't talk about earlier.
You know what's trash? Cairo's already gone. I can't play Cairo this weekend on FanDuel.
He got you 3. You didn't want Cairo.
Yeah,
Drew, but if I would have played him though, he would have 12.
Taking kickers on frozen fields is always a strong strategy.
It's like you don't understand Cairo, and that's fine. It's okay.
But yeah, Zeke I think is just going to be under-owned because Lev and DJ are right there, and he's just as big of an upside as those guys every week.
And he's our Sunday night hammer too.
Yep.
Yes.
Sunday night hammer.
We got Odell on DraftKings and Zeke on FanDuel for winning all the money. All right. Let's go with, let's see. Who's up?
We got a kicker and a D for 47.50 on average left.
Yeah. All right. So we've got David Johnson, Deshaun Jackson, Manny Sanders. Do we have another wide receiver?
I thought we had Ty. Did we not have Ty?
Okay, no, we can
We
go
have to
Ty.
have Ty.
We can go Ty.
So we've got the double stack with Luck.
All right.
Ty all the yards. Allen catches the touchdowns. Three to Ty, one to Dwayne.
I mean, Minnesota is only 4,800 at Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think they're going to be chalky, but
Yeah. Okay. I agree. Let's oh man. I will go with
David's thinking sounds are so gross.
let's do this. I'll go picking kicker, and I will go with Roberto Aguayo for the three field goal misses.
No, David.
Literally the only kicker you cannot take.
Really? Because I was gonna pick Gano, and I thought, well, no, that's too bad.
I think of the $4,500 kickers, I do think he's the best.
Thank you,
I'll
Drew.
say that.
Thank you.
Because he's the only one in decent weather. Him or Dawson.
What about Dawson?
Yeah, those are the only two guys in decent weather.
I don't want to take a guy who, like, imagine if you had a sweat, David. Imagine if you had, like, a sweat and you, like, need to pass a
that'd be
team.
tough.
And Aguayo, and you're like, I need 3 points, and Aguayo
Okay.
comes out to take the 38-yarder.
All right,
Four missed field goals are in his range of outcomes.
Yeah.
Prater is the nuts kicker.
no.
I pray to you, Matt Prater.
Yeah, we'll go in honor of Mr. Tuttle 05. We'll go with Kai Forbeth.
Oh, all right.
He's still in the league?
He plays for Minnesota at Jacksonville.
He missed his first extra point as a Viking in memoriam to Blair Walsh.
So we have 5,000, and let's do it. Let's play Bengals against Cleveland.
Against RG3.
Yeah.
Wait, why is this lineup different? What wide receiver did you guys change?
Deshaun Jackson, Manny Sanders, T.Y. Hilton.
Why do we? Okay.
Why do we have what? Deshaun Jackson?
I thought you said Moncrief and Hilton, and I was gonna. That's too much. It's too much.
So you thought he said Moncrief and Hilton, and then you added in Dwayne Allen after that?
No, I thought he moved. I thought he moved Deshaun to Ty.
Oh, okay.
It's a good spot. It's not an onslaught
You
spot.
take 100 and you jam in 10 more, and then you add in.
And then you add in David Johnson.
It's an onslaught. We just got to add the Colts defense. All right. Special thanks to Drew Dinkmeyer from Daily Roto for joining us, filling in for Mr. Total 05. No. I'm sorry.
Tight
We're
ends.
talking about tight ends.
I was going to say, that seemed like a quick show.
It's actually not been. It's been a really long show, but for you, Drew, I'm sure it is quick because you've had to comment on every pick.
Sorry. I'll be quiet now. Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, Jimmy Graham, those guys are in play.
Ladarius Green is so good. All right?
What happens when they have to run the ball?
Who cares? Ladarius Green, if he was healthy from the start of the year, right now would have 950 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns, maybe more.
Yeah, he's had a brain bruise though.
We have Vance McDonald. If you want to believe in Cap this week, we have Vance McDonald facing
I went Vance last week.
the Jets defense that just got smashed by Dwayne Allen and all these guys. And then we also have Jermaine Gresham in the spot where Dennis Pitta just went off. So two super cheap guys, to at least discuss. I like Delaney a lot against the Broncos.
He's going to be under-owned too because people are going to see the Broncos and not play him.
I'm wondering if that'll be the case on DraftKings with that cheap tag at 4,400. I'm still trying to figure that out.
should also mention potentially Zach Ertz as much as I don't want to. Drew, I know he's your guy.
Really reasonable price on DraftKings.
Zach Ertz is my guy?
Yeah.
Just the 1 week he was min price when Lance Kendricks was min price. I was like, I feel like he's all right too.
Yeah, and then you were rubbing in my face when Kendricks got that one catch for 5 yards.
It wasn't even 5. If it was 5, he would have scored. It was 1 for 1 at the goal line.
Anyways, Ertz last week had 15 targets.
Yeah, that was no J-Matt week though.
5 targets.
What about Fleener against the Bucks with no Josh Hill?
Yeah, Josh Hill's dead now.
And
that was fun.
Potentially Michael Thomas not being
Yeah.
If Michael Thomas doesn't play, I really do like Fleener.
Got to play John Phillips probably.
Jimmy Graham for me is the cash game.
Jimmy Graham is awesome.
I mean, Jason Witten is 3,100 on DraftKings.
Yeah. Witten's a good one for DK for sure. I mean, he's just so cheap. And the guy is expensive, but I think if I had to play him or Olsen, it would be him. It's Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, real good spot for Eifert this week.
He's
priced up, so hopefully the ownership stays.
He's priced up, so you like is one of those guys that because people are going to be jamming in David Johnson, Lev Bell, there's not going to be a ton of Eifert because that's just.
If you're just like a genius and you can figure out which cheap running back can like grind to 18 this week, you're going to make so much money because you'll be able to make a bunch of really good differentiated lineups.
Do you know how many points 18 is? Because you just said grind to 18.
Like if you can, if you can mash in 18.
Because I'm starting to, it's like when you say grind to 18, this makes the Manziel 22-point floor thing make all the sense in the world.
If you could grind over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Gurley can do it, man. I mean, if he shows up, I mean, this is a great spot for him.
Gurley, he's got about 250 interactions this year and has not given the Rams 1,000 yards in return for those interactions yet. It's pretty crazy.
He's legit horrible.
If Tuttle wins, what's the top price? $2 million?
$2 million with Todd Gurley.
I mean, you just quit. You just say
he's going to win it with a Trevor Siemian, Manny Sanders stack, bringing back DeMarco.
I mean, I can promise Tuttle's team when I look at it, I'm going to be like, what he wanted to get last.
Yeah. But he's going to win $2 million. And just like at that point with Todd Gurley, you just realize that you're ahead, you quit, and you become a professional goatee model. Like that's what you do whenever he wins the $2 million. So good luck to Mr. Tuttle 05. We're cheering for you, all the Swolecast family.
We'll get him, Tuttle. Yeah.
Drew, would you like to say something? Would you like to
get him, Tuttle.
Oh, there you go.
I'm actually rooting for Sahil. It's time he wins a live final.
Oh, Jesus.
Poor guy.
Davis wanted to leave the Swolecast on a note that had everyone in chat tilting him, even though it's not live.
Let's go, Sal. You can do it, buddy.
Okay, as long as Draft Cheat gets last, I'm going to be fine.
All I want. I don't know how much of my own personal wealth I would put in. 50% of my net worth I would pay to have Draft Cheat sleep in past the lock of this. I really would.
All right. Thanks to Drew from dailyroto.com. Thanks to Evan from rotoworld.com. Also, Davis Mattek. We have to mention him as well. Thanks, Davis. If you're not doing anything from midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern, we do have our SiriusXM Fantasy Insider show. That is, it's fun. It is really fun, except when I have to go to my parents to broadcast it. So hopefully Comcast gets that one fixed. Guys, it's been real. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you week 15 of the Swolecast here at fantasyinsiders.com. Davis, what was that?
Snapchat.
Oh, cool.
Hey,